Hello all, my name is Amish Sharma and I'm representing DSP Solution Incorporation. We are based out at Florida, US. We are into consulting and training services. We are subject matter expert for IPN and OBI product suite. So this is another video tutorial in the series of loading metadata into Essbase. In the previous 5 video tutorial, we discussed about various properties and functions you use during metadata load. In today's session, we'll discuss about how do you load your metadata along with the alias and how do you deal with the duplicate alias error. It's a very common error. How do you deal with the duplicate alias in case you have in your metadata? So in today's section, we are going to talk about understanding metadata load process in Essbase. We have seen this thing a couple of times in the past as well. In the previous video tutorial, also we discussed about how to load metadata into Essbase. The area which we are going to pay more attention, how do you deal with duplicate alias? Essbase will throw error message saying that alias is already exists. How do you deal with this? And how do you use error file as source for your metadata loading? So these are 3 things we are going to talk about in today's session. So these are the typical steps to load metadata into your Essbase queue. I'm assuming my source exists in flat file. I've recently pulled this metadata from one of the legacy application, and for simplicity I kept only few records. This metadata I extracted from PeopleSoft application, and for simplicity I organized in a way that it looks simple for the learner to understand. Now if you look at this my data source, you can find all these metadata goes to your account dimension. They are representing a typical common chart of account for an organization, balance sheet, various kind of account. So the primarily it's a top-down metadata load approach. As you can see, there's a header section which specify the first column is your account dimension. Second column is account dimension alias. Third column is account dimension next level to this. And fourth column is alias. So in terms of hierarchical, we are expecting it would create hierarchy like this. Hierarchy 0, 1 and 2. This is what my expectation. And this is a source. So you see, apart from dimension members, we have got an alias as well. Right? So this I'm going to consider as my source. I'm going to load with this. We have got 2 source file. One source file does not have any error, and the another source file has got an error. So we see case 1. The source file doesn't have any error, and the second source file has an error. So we deal with how do you load a source file when you have duplicate data. Let's start with the data which doesn't have any error file. So I'm going to use a typical method which we use in past session to create load rule. All the below steps I'm going to follow one by one. First, create rule file, file new, create load rule file. Second step, open data source. My data source is CSV file and it is stored in my local file system. So I would be using my data source is a CSV file, account hierarchy, and then the third step is the delimiter. The default delimiter is a tab. However, in my source the delimiter is comma. So here I specify data source properties, comma is my delimiter. We'll follow exactly step by step. The next step, we define the mapping, or in simple word, map source to target, what is what. As I'm using dimension build, so I would use the other side of the coin, the load rule file, as we discussed in the past, can be used to load metadata and data. In this example, I'm loading only metadata, so I'll choose this option, dimension build fields. And now I specify most important aspects, mapping information. So first column, all these members goes to my account dimension. I go to dimension build property and I say it's a top to down. It's account dimension. We start from top to down, generation second. Why do we start with generation second? The generation 1 is account dimension itself. Next is an alias. So it's an account dimension. I choose a property over here called alias, and it's an alias for column first. Therefore, it's continue to be generation second. Then you account dimension generation third. Next is account dimension alias third and account dimension alias third, member third and alias third. Now we can see the heading over here. To ensure all mappings are done correctly, I need to correct this one. I did it incorrectly. This should be account dimension and this should be alias. Let's do it once again. For this one, this is account dimension generation 4 and account dimension alias 4. If you're able to read the header, this specify absolutely correct mapping information. Right? If you look at carefully, my first row is a header row, and naturally you do not like to load the header row. It doesn't have any business meaning. For simplicity, I added a header over here. I would like to ignore the first row. Therefore, we have option over here under data source property header, skip number of rows are 1. So first row will not be going to be loaded, as naturally it's a header row. So my load rule file is done. Next step is specify build method. Is it top to bottom or bottom to up? There are 6 build method. Default is top to bottom. So I go to build method, dimension build setting. I'm loading metadata to account dimension and my build method is generation reference method, a top to bottom. I also use a additional call property over here called allow property change. So in case my metadata load fail in first attempt, I load it another time, it should allow me to change only the property, not the complete member. Right. Next is the next step is we validate the rule file. Validate, no error, and save the rule file. So I'm saving to my file system itself. Load alias, the name given, and extension is RUL. Okay, so I'm going to load this account dimension member into my account dimension given over here. So the same approach, simply right click, load data, data source is flat file, I'm building dimension, specify your data file name, your CSV file, and specify your rule file, the one which we just created, load alias. If any error come, where do we see that? We would see over here. All the error would be visible over here, right? Click OK. So my metadata loaded. How many members are loaded? We'll check. Do I get an error file? I did not get any error file. You see the folder is empty. If I had error file, it would have been shown over here. So I got balance sheet and all these members. Let's check, is that what exactly we wanted to load? We once again check with my source data. This is my source data. Is that what we wanted to load? You can see first I got balance sheet and the alias of balance sheet is balance sheet. See, then I got various kind of account and account alias, total asset and total liability, total asset and total liability and equity. Then I loaded data for account hierarchy second. So this is account hierarchy second. The first one is called current asset, then fixed asset, other assets. So you can see the alias has been added successfully. This is the first instance where your metadata file is absolutely perfect. It does not have any duplicate alias. Now we see the second instance of it where I got a duplicate alias. Ideally, it's a business responsibility to provide you correct metadata. In case you do not have correct metadata, how do you deal with that? So I'm changing my data source. My second data source has got duplicate alias. I capped it. You look at carefully. The last row, I've got total liabilities are duplicated. How does Ashbase deal with duplicate alias? Ashbase works so intelligently. In the case second, Ashbase adds member but ignore the duplicate alias. That's the beauty of Ashbase. It does not reject the member, it does add the member but does not add the duplicate. Let's do this. So I've got duplicate member over here for 210000 and 250000. These are two member which has got duplicate alias. Right? Let's reload this and check what does happen. I already have an error file, error folder open over here. So if any error occur, we could check over here. So right click, load data, specify your data source is flat file. I'm building dimension. This time my source file is 1 which has got error. And my rule file is same, load alias. We click OK and you see I got a warning message over here and I check the error file. Now look at the error file carefully. You see the error is absolutely very clear about it. Total alias, total liabilities already used in another member. So there is a duplicate alias. As a result of this, alias is not added, however member added. You can check this now. See, member added but alias got ignored. See, for first alias loaded, but for second one it did not load. I got an error message called duplicate alias, but member added. That's the beauty of Ashbase. Now how do you deal with this error? Naturally, out of 100,000 members, if only 10 members are, you have got total members 100,000 and I assume rejected member are only 100. Option 1, reload. all metadata is a stupid solution. This is not an intelligent solution. Option second, load only rejected records. So option 2 is more intelligent approach. Naturally we use the option second. So the beauty of Essbase, error file can be used. Essbase converts error file in a way it can be used as source file. Now rather than loading all the metadata, I would take error file as source file to load into my system. It is also working as a reject file in typical ETL scenario. So I simply copy this error file, place into my data source, and this time my error file will be working as source file. I don't need to create additional file. Right? So I need to load only one record which is to be corrected in terms of alias. So my source changes, my load rule continue to be same. I specify source file, my error file is source file. So error file. Make sure you copy the error file from your error file path to your local file system. Right? Okay. Member added. Should we check? Oh, I'm sorry, I did not correct the member. I have to correct the data source. I would change total liabilities was incorrect, so I would change this. The real name was the correct alias I supposed to be changing. I would change first. The actual is total share equity, which are incorrectly copied over here as total liabilities. Now first I'll correct my source file. I corrected my source file, okay, and I place this into I correct my error file. This is my correct alias. I correct my error file, and then I can reload it. I correct my error file, and now I can reload. I don't need to reload entire source file. Right click, load, build dimension. Your source file is error file now, and rule file is continue to be the same. You see, only the member added, member alias added. So this way, you see, only the member added, and I don't have got any error file. So the moral of the story is that point first to be pay attention. Point first, Essbase when finds duplicate alias, it adds the member but ignores the alias. Essbase creates error file in such a way that it can be used as source. Correct the error file and reload the error file considering as a source. So this is how you can deal with the errors when you have due to duplicate alias. Rather than reloading the entire queue, you can load only the records which causing the error. So with this, I'm closing for today. Please keep watching our online video tutorials and also look at our rich collection of video tutorials and documentation. Please log into our site to download many video tutorials of similar type called hyperionGuru.com and bisptraining.com. Thank you very much for joining the session. Have a good day.